What's up, everybody? Welcome to Boxing Decades, and let's get right into this video. We had an action-packed weekend full of great fights. We had Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall, with Shields getting the unanimous decision. If you guys didn't see the highlights on that, I really suggest you go check them out. We had Michaela Meyer versus Alicia Bumgarner, with Bumgarner getting the split decision. We had Caleb Plant and Anthony Durrell, with that fight ending in the 9th round by Caleb Plant. He threw a beautiful left hook to the body, followed by a left hook to the head. Really some Mike Tyson style punching. We had Devin Haney and George Kambosos 2. It was an action-packed fight, with Haney winning by unanimous decision, keeping his title as the unified lightweight champion of the world. And lastly, we had Deontay Wilder and Robert Helenius. And man, what a fight that was. I'm sure by now you've seen the clips online, and as expected, Deontay Wilder did exactly what Deontay Wilder does. Knock out with that right hand. But this time it was different. It was a short right hand, and it was when Wilder was on his back foot. This fight started off with something that I have not seen before from Wilder. He was moving very well around the ring, and you could see he improved a lot on his footwork. There was definitely some awkward movement, which is to be expected by Deontay Wilder. But in general, he was dancing around the ring using his jab. I'm very impressed with the level of effort that Deontay Wilder actually put into training for this fight. Helenius was a lot calmer than I thought he would be. He was standing his ground, he was creeping forward on Deontay Wilder, which eventually led him to getting knocked out. But he didn't seem bothered by the sheer aura that is Deontay Wilder. At the end of the first round, Helenius is backing Deontay Wilder up to the ropes, basically until Wilder is on the ropes. Okay, and it was at this moment where Deontay Wilder, you could see him looking for a shot, and in a quick reaction, saw the hole in Helenius' guard and delivered the quick, short right hand to Helenius' chin, and that was it. Good night. In all, it was a short fight, but I did see a lot of improvement from Deontay Wilder. He improved on his footwork, he was moving around the ring, using his jab, and essentially he was looking for the opening shots, and he took it, and he did very well. Imagine if Wilder focused on this type of boxing skill earlier in his career. I mean, he'd be unstoppable. Just even a little bit of boxing skill with his size and power is devastating for the rest of the division. So what's next for Deontay Wilder? Wilder is 36 years old, which is technically coming off of his prime. And in a sport like boxing, can be very dangerous if he decides to continue for the next few years. And especially if he doesn't adopt some sort of next level head movement, he can face some serious damage to his health. You have all of these younger boxers or these up-and-coming boxers that can pose a serious threat to Deontay Wilder's health. I'm not saying necessarily his record, because ultimately we don't know how that's going to go. But if you're getting older in the sport of boxing, you really have to consider your brain. And if these guys are hitting you hard, and a guy like Deontay Wilder who doesn't have amazing head movement, that's a problem. And he should really consider that if he decides to go further. It's easy to see why Wilder would want Usyk. Usyk is a smaller guy. I don't think Deontay Wilder takes him as a threat. He also holds many belts that Deontay Wilder can get. So it's a no-brainer of why Wilder would want to fight him next. Usyk is a better boxer or has better boxing skill than Wilder. But how is he going to do against a guy who's 6'7" with an 83-inch reach? That's going to be very difficult for Usyk to demonstrate any of his boxing skill. But only time will tell, and when that fight happens, I will make a separate video on that. But this is what I think is going to happen. If Wilder loses that fight against Usyk by, let's say, a close decision, regardless, I think he demands a rematch. So either way, I think he's fighting Usyk next, and he could possibly fight Usyk another time after that if Wilder loses. If Wilder wins, I don't think he retires right away. I don't think he beats Usyk and then retires. Because at that point, Wilder is technically top dog. I mean, I think he is top dog now. But beating Usyk means he's going to hold more belts, and he's going to be able to handpick who he defends his title with, just like every other boxer. Wilder's also stated that he might want to fight Andy Ruiz or Anthony Joshua, although I think he's kind of calmed down with mentioning Joshua's name. So I could definitely see him fighting Andy Ruiz in the near future, if not before Usyk or after Usyk. But in general, I think these are all great fights for Deontay Wilder because I think they're all easy for him. I don't think any of these guys actually pose a threat to Deontay Wilder, and he knows that, which is why he's taking these fights, and I don't blame him. And these are great wins before he can actually retire. So if Wilder doesn't retire before the age of 40, who actually poses the biggest threat to him? It's hard to tell who can actually beat Wilder because the boxers that I think could have a possibility of beating him don't exactly have the resume yet. They're up and coming boxers, and they just haven't proved themselves enough. Whoever beats Wilder is going to need to possess a few characteristics. Number one is they're going to need to be in a similar height range to Deontay Wilder. They're also going to need to be quick. Deontay Wilder, for how big he is and how long of arms he has, he's a pretty quick dude. So whoever goes up against him also needs to be quick. Another thing they're going to need is footwork and head movement, and this is absolutely necessary for whoever faces Deontay Wilder. The guy can hit hard. He can end the fight at any moment. So a fighter that possesses the skill of really good head movement and really good footwork can at least try and evade some of those big punches. And that's the only way these people are going to survive in a fight with Deontay Wilder. And lastly, somebody who is able to hit hard, really hit like a rock. I don't think that's the most important characteristic out of all of these, but I do think it'll make the difference. So who actually possesses these qualities in the heavyweight division currently? I've looked through a few heavyweight fighters and I've decided on two that might potentially be able to pose a threat to Deontay Wilder. Number one is Frank Sanchez. Frank Sanchez has beaten a few good fighters and a lot of opponents that have been physically bigger than him. The one fight that made me put him on this list was his fight with Efe Ajagba. Ajagba is a very hard-hitting boxer. He has devastating power, I think similar to Deontay Wilder. He's also 6'6", and he has an 80-inch reach, as very, very close to Wilder's dimensions. And in that fight, if you watch it, Sanchez uses his boxing skill to evade punches from Ajagba, and also he got hit a few times, and he ate those shots. So his chin is pretty solid, which will do him wonders against Deontay Wilder. But he eventually dropped Ajagba in the 8th round, I believe. I think this was one fight showing that Sanchez could be a real threat to Deontay Wilder. The other fighter that I could see having a potential or posing a potential threat to Deontay Wilder is Joe Joyce. He showed great determination in his fight against Daniel Dubois, and you have to understand something. Deontay Wilder is coming off of his peak. He's coming down. He's going to come down in skill, in stamina, in everything. So I have to think that these fighters like Joe Joyce and Frank Sanchez are going to get better in the next few years as Deontay Wilder is declining in skill. Both fighters remain undefeated and have beaten some of the other people that, I potentially looked at to make this list. I would need to see more out of both of these fighters to confidently say that they would beat Wilder. I think they pose a pretty good threat at the moment, like I said, as they're building up their resumes. But I would still need to see more from both of them to say definitely that, yes, Joe Joyce or Frank Sanchez will beat Deontay Wilder. Out of the two, I think Frank Sanchez is actually the bigger threat to Deontay Wilder. He's 21-0 with 14 knockouts, and he's at the prime age of 30. Now, do we see a fight between Frank Sanchez and Deontay Wilder? That's harder to say. Like I said, I think the progression of Wilder's fights is going to be Usyk, Ruiz, possibly Joshua if he really wants to take some easy fights. It would all depend on how well Joe Joyce or Frank Sanchez actually build up their resume going into the future with Deontay Wilder. What I do know is that I would love to see a fight between Deontay Wilder and Frank Sanchez. So that's my thoughts. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel as I'm trying to grow my subscriber base. If you agreed with what I said or you disagreed with what I said, please comment below, let me know. If you guys even think that Deontay Wilder can be beaten by somebody else or not at all, let me know that as well. And as always, thank you for watching.